Hi, everybody. It's Wednesday, June 3rd, and I wanted to just touch base with our St. Mark family because there's so much going on around us that I think we, as followers of Christ, need to keep our focus. We've seen over the last days really violent riots around the country. We've also seen a very positive exercise of First Amendment rights of assembly and speaking up with the peaceful protests that have responded to the death, the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis. And it is right that that voice be heard. But we can't neglect the fact that as followers of Christ, our recourse should never be to violence, and it's not something that we should immediately approve or dismiss or excuse. And so I think it's our task to really pray. I think our country right now is in the grips of really a pervasive spirit of fear and division, which on a spiritual level is certainly the work of the evil one. And so we need to have recourse to prayer, and that's why tonight we're coming together to pray for a deeper respect for human dignity, that each human person is made in the image and the likeness of God, a deeper respect for others who have a right to their opinion, who have a right to expressing what they believe and how they seek to live that out. And also not to be afraid to stand up for what we believe and what we know to be right and true and good. There was an incident yesterday. The president went to visit the shrine of Pope St. John Paul up in Washington, and the Archbishop of Washington decided to use that as an opportunity to critique the visit, even though it had been planned many weeks in advance, as a place where the president might honor Pope John Paul's legacy of being a defender of religious freedom, and to sign a document there highlighting that. And again, I don't think in this case there's really, it should matter what you think of the president, whether we like him, whether we dislike him. Again, he was acting as president, and he was promoting something that was very good and something that was very close to the heart of Pope St. John Paul II, who obviously lived through persecution, lived through a time when he wasn't really able to celebrate the faith. And obviously, what we see in our society is there's no longer the ability or the will to give folks the benefit of the doubt. We always seem to jump to conclusions now. We see it on television, we see it in the social media, we see this happening in families, we see it in communities, that we assume the worst. And I was talking to the staff today, and it's really disheartening, because that's not who we are, and certainly as followers of Jesus, it's not what we are to be about. And so we need to pray. We need to pray that these spirits of fear, these spirits of division, that they be bound, and that the triumph of the Lord's Sacred Heart, from which mercy flows, really be promoted and triumph over the works of the enemy, and that order be restored, and that wounds be healed, and that a people be restored, that we understand that each of us has an important role to play, especially as followers of Jesus, to be instruments of peace, as St. Francis would say. So I encourage you, tonight we're coming together to pray, and we're coming together to pray for peace in hearts, for peace in communities, for peace in families, and a restoration of a calm that comes from trusting that all things are in God's hands. Again, that's not negating the importance of speaking up against injustice, speaking up against that which is wrong, and allowing the light of the gospel to shine on those things. We have to do that as well. But our first recourse must always be to pray that God, who is the way, the truth, and the life, might lead us to his light, to his truth, and show us his way. So tonight we gather to pray. I hope you'll join us either virtually or in person, and just know that you will continue to be in my prayers. God bless you.